I'm very glad to be here in front of you and be able to share some of my experiences about projects. As I recall myself to be one of you some 20 years ago, not exactly, but some 20 years ago, I take it as an opportunity to share what I know and demystify some of the curiosities you might have regarding projects and maybe your academic career and anything you might have, queries in general. Okay, so with this, I'll start the presentation. Okay, why academic projects? But if you see here, Sunil sir already clarified what academic project is. Now, my session in general will cover all sort of projects. So I don't really think it is relevant for me to just stick or focus only in academic projects, because most of the things that we're doing here, most of the characteristics of project in general and the whys of doing projects are not only bound to academic projects only. Having said that, what are the various other projects than academic projects? Let's see. Okay, moving forward, the projects should also mean non-academic projects. Means the projects that you not only do to pass your exams, to get good grades. Non-academic projects can be IT projects, engineering projects, or they can be academic projects as well. So it's a project in general. So other sorts of projects are engineering projects, social projects, and whatever projects you can imagine of. So what is a project? I think without demystifying this topic, project, it's not even like really relevant to go ahead. So let's try to demystify this term project. I know many of you have your own definition of project. You have some ideas of project, and let's see whether it coincides with what you have in the definition of project. Okay, a project is an endeavor that consists of a series of activities to deliver a certain goal. Sometimes you may have multiple goals, but better you stick with only one goal. And the project has some constraints like time, cost, resources, scope, quality, you name it. A project is not a perfect product. A project is delivered with lots of constraints. Okay, let's try to understand what is a goal. Goal is something that you have in mind so that you are carrying this project. So what is the goal of your academic project in the first semester? It may be a requirement of your syllabus that you need to do the project. Maybe that's a goal. That's just a trivial goal. In fact, goal can be much more serious and much more specific. So basically, goal tries to deliver like, what is it that you're trying to create doing this project? That's a goal. So what is the purpose of doing this project? That is a goal. Basically, goal satisfies the requirements of a project. So a project has lots of requirements, and whenever you are able to deliver some of the requirements, I'm not saying all of them, it's better if you could deliver all of them. So that's a goal. So time, cost, resources, quality, scope, whatever you see, they are the constraints of the project. Constraints भनेको बुझिन्छ है. Constraints is something that may block, that may have an impact in delivering the project. Like time, resources, cost, scope, quality, this comes as a constraint. Well, if there were not any sort of constraints, a project would be beautiful. But unfortunately, every project comes with a constraint. If you see the triangle on the right-hand side, there's a time, cost, scope, and quality. these are the 4 basic and crucial constraints of a project. If you have certain change in any constraint, it will have an elastic effect on other constraints. Like if you have less time, it will impact the cost of the project, or maybe it will impact the quality and scope of the project. Similarly, if you decrease or increase the size of a project, that is scope of the project, what happens is, like, you have lots of things to do now, but what happens? Either you need to increase the time, or you need to increase the cost, or maybe you need to bargain on the quality of a project. So before we are going to work on a project, we need to be very much clear on what these constraints mean. Okay? Resources. What are resources? Well, resources can be a constraint. Generally, resources means the infrastructures, the manpowers, the administrative cost, the stationary cost related to a project. Okay, I believe I defined the project at a very basic level. And I also believe you'll have an entire semester on project management somewhere in the later semesters. So at that time, you'll have more idea on project. Having said that, let's move ahead. Yeah, this is the crux of my presentation today. Why projects? Now we know what a project is. Let's try to see, why do we need to do this project? Can we not simply do this project? Let's see. Yeah, we have some random thoughts on why do we need projects. Okay. Yeah, definitely we need to pass the class, and doing academic project is one of the course requirements that you need to do. If you don't do that, you won't pass your current semester. Okay, this is one of the random thoughts that I have in mind, and it may coincide, like it may match of what you have in mind as well. Then let's move ahead. Well, yeah, definitely you want good grades. You simply don't want to pass the class, but you want higher grades, good grades. It is something like a cherry on top of ice cream, right? You want to pass and get good grades. Definitely salary, the third point. If you do good projects, you have much more experience, you have much more confidence, you can do anything, right? That means everybody wants you. Big companies want you. FANG companies, Google, Facebook, whatever, right? They want you. You get more money. That's salary. Everybody wants a handsome salary, and it's possible if you are sincere and you are very patient. It takes time. Yeah, this looks funny, right? Somebody does the project to just show off. Somebody does the project to just brag their skills. Well, it may look ridiculous, but somebody do. And I think that's fine, because people just show what they got. If somebody is really exceptional, their talent, they can show off. That's fine. Build a startup, build an enterprise. Yeah, if you do projects, I told you earlier that you have much more confidence, you can do lots of things, and you also have a big salary now. You can start a startup, you can do some enterprise. Remember, Facebook, Twitter, Netflix, Plex, whatnot, YouTube, everything. They all started as a project, right? Basically, they started as a very small scale project. Facebook was started as a funny project. It was not even a serious project. Oh yeah, the second last point, you've got nothing to do. Lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. You cannot go to the college. You cannot commute home. You've nothing to do. So what you do, you don't want to simply watch Nepal TV or Kantipur TV because news are not really great. You don't want to watch YouTube and Netflix all the time. So yeah, let's do the project. Well, some nerds do, not everybody though. And maybe you need to do projects because you got a free advice. Look, in our community, everybody is an expert. बिहान उठेर चिया पसलमा जानुपर्छ, everybody has their own opinions. And luckily you have somebody, some experts next to you, maybe your uncle, maybe your dad, mom, friends, and they give you free advice. Oi, project garna, राम्रो हुन्छ. You should, so you should really be happy, huh? You have good company. So, well, these are some of the random thoughts about why we need projects. The next point. Again, this question, why we should do the projects? Seriously, this time, not just a random thoughts. On a serious note, we do projects for yada, lots of points. Yeah, the first point I've chosen is learning by doing. Project is a mechanism where we can enhance our skills. We can learn by doing. Let's move ahead. Yeah. If you look at the learning pyramid to the right, you can see the various methods of learning and their average retention rate. Generally, what we do, we are on the very top of the pyramid, right? We listen to the lecture and we retain only 5% of what we learn. This happens to us all the time. I was one of the victims too. If you read, well, yeah, sometimes you retain 10% of what you read. But IT books, they're really big, right? 200 pages, 500 pages. You don't have time for that. So we'll basically stick to 5% all the time. Audiovisual, YouTube, yes, 20% retention rate. Demonstration, no way, nobody does that. But if you do, 30% retention rate. But I'm still to come to the point by learning by doing. The discussion groups. What happens if you join the discussion groups? What happens if you join the local events, community events, and discussion groups like this, where you are today, where somebody discusses and where somebody presents on a topic and you discuss on the topic you like? The retention rate is 50%. Guys, we really need to discuss today. The retention rate is 50% at least, right? Yeah, now comes our point. We need to do projects seriously because the retention rate is 75%, and that's huge. That's why it is on the number one of my slide here, learning by doing. If you do this, the retention rate is 75%. What is this 90% though? Teaching others, immediate use. Better if you could teach somebody. If you learn something, try to teach it to somebody. If you're shy, if you're ashamed to teach anybody in public, just teach it to your junior, brother, sister, mother, father, or your colleagues in the canteen, everywhere. The retention rate is 90%. Okay, too much of it. Let's move ahead. Demystifying computers. Why should you do projects? If you do projects, we can demystify computers. What does demystifying computer mean? Basically, what you do is we go to the market, we buy a computer, and the computer comes with operating system Linux or Mac or Windows 10. Now maybe Windows 11 has just been released yesterday. Then we're simply fond of the same operating system, same laptop. We turn it on, we turn it off. We never bother to see like how the computer is made up of. We never bother to understand the computer. We never bother to understand the processor, how many cores it has, what is the generation of processor, what kind of generation of processor it has got. And we don't try to understand the time, the RAM, how much RAM we got. We don't try to understand the speed of RAM. There are lots of things. We don't try to understand the storage it has got, how many cache it has got. So as a computer student now, you need to be very much curious. You need to dig that rabbit hole. until you find a solution, until you find what you get. You need to really demystify. When you run your program, say you learn C, right? When you run your program, and you say you did a program on Hello World, and when you run compile it and you get Hello World, and you are satisfied, that's the problem. Don't get satisfied. Why it is printing Hello World? Why is that has include stdio.h?
Excuse me, Nava, sir. You have 3 minutes left in your session.
All right, thanks.
Just to notify you.
But that's cool. I'll focus more on this slide only. So you need to understand that, okay? Whenever you're doing a C project, I believe you did that. Just try to see what is that has include mean. Why in stdio.h? Why not stdio.y? Just try to see those things. Try to understand why the C program has a .c file, .c file extension. Try to understand and check and try to understand and check like what happens if you just rename it to something else. So you need to dig the rabbit hole. Problem solving. We already discussed a project is a tool to solve the problem you've got. Validating the theoretical knowledge. Yes, you learn so many things at college and you can validate those things using projects. Like say every day in the lab, you go and learn about for loop, this, that, all the time. But through a project, you combine all the things you learn in a single package and the development of soft skills. Like Sunil sir already explained before, about the importance of soft skills. It's by doing projects, we can improve our soft skills, and they're really important. It can be communication, building confidence, building communication skills, planning the projects, or anything you've got, managing, working in teams, etc. Okay, advantages. Considering the time I have remaining, I don't think I really need to jump on this advantage of the project because these are more or less the points I already discussed in the previous slides. Okay. After this session, the key takeaways for you should be like set your goals. You decide one day or day one. Okay, I'd be happy if you start on day one and start doing projects. And there is a delusion, right? People believe like the college will teach you everything. It's a huge delusion. No, college will not teach you everything. It will just lay the foundation. You need to build your Lego yourself. Stay foolish, stay hungry. This is from Steve Jobs. Listen to others, but believe in yourself. Thinking outside the box. Like I said in the previous slide, try to demystify the computer. Think outside the box. Don't be happy with what you have. If a program runs successfully, don't be happy like as it is. Just try to think outside the box and try to change the things in the program and see if it runs. You see, time and tide waits for none. 2021 is already half gone, right? So spend time in open source communities, go to Stack Overflow. Don't just copy the things, learn from others' mistakes, contribute. Try to understand Stack Flow as a whole. So Stack Overflow is not only for copying and pasting the codes. You need to understand the system, how it works, and try to contribute because you learn from others' mistakes. Do not miss events and conferences. It will build your soft skills and it will increase your retention skill, average retention rate, what you learn there. Build your network. Make a GitHub a close friend. You need to really work with GitHub all the time. Commit regularly. Read blogs. And most importantly, write one. Don't just write only one, write many. Because if you write, you retain more. Well, if you're still confused, what is good for you? There's a small link from ThoughtWorks. It will help you decide what is good for you. I urge you to open this link and see what's inside there. Okay, it's all about the zeros and ones, the digital logic, right? Computers is basically zeros and ones. Computer does not understand anything other than that. Think how you can leverage these zeros and ones to make it useful. Yeah, this is a random slide I just put here. The power of maintaining a streak. Okay. Now look at here. What happens if you just give 0.01, say, hour for 365 days? Just 0.01 hour per day into 365 days, you get 37.8 hours. But if you just give 0.2 decimal less, right? 0.9, and for 365 days, you get very few. So think of this. Try to maintain a streak. Identify your passion. Think what you want, what you're fond of, and try to maintain a streak. And you see the effect. Thank you, guys.